There you go, that is our old school spag bol made. Spaghetti bolognese with meatballs. Come on. Hi everyone, welcome to Backyard Chef. I'm Rick. Remember, old school spag bol, spaghetti bolognese, not the traditional meat sauce cooked for hours, the quick way we all grew up with. Come on, nice and straightforward, easy to do. Let's crack on. Breadcrumbs, milk in there. A little mix up. We want those breadcrumbs rehydrating a little bit before we mix them with our mince. Now they're not all going to rehydrate and go soft, but they will in the mince, so let's not worry. One side. Mince. Okay, straightforward. Get a glove on or just get your hand in, it's up to you. We want that mixing up. Nice and easy. So we got our beef mince. We want a little bit of seasoning. Gone in there with a little bit of pepper. Now this is one of those old school recipes that we used to make, and it got changed around so many times. You can use whatever you want in it. Celery, whatever, you know, it doesn't matter. In there, a little bit of garlic powder, about half a teaspoon. Now you can use fresh garlic if you want, but I'm going for dried. Got an egg, give that a little beat. That's going in there, nice and steady. Before we get our hand in there, we're going in with a little pinch of Italian herbs, but you can do just oregano if you want. You can use fresh parsley, you can use mixed herbs, your choice. Parmesan, and we want those breadcrumbs. In we go, and a real good mix in. Give it a good working until it goes a bit tacky and all our ingredients are fully incorporated. Come on, give it a good squashing up. I'm going to put a little bit of fresh parsley in there actually. Put a little bit of green in. Now, you can cook your spag bol, as you know, with the mince straight like that, but we will make meatballs. Okay, now I'm not really going to divide these up as such. We're just going to get some in our hand like that, probably about that much. And we're just going to put them on there. Now, you know, you could put these in the fridge to go cold and all that carry on, that's up to you. I don't think we really need it. We're just going to crack on and cook them straight away. So a nice little bringing together. Now if you can get them all the same size, that'll be brilliant. It doesn't really matter, does it? Get a pan on, we want some oil in there, a little bit of oil in. We're going to fry those meatballs in there. Now there is 1,000 ways to make an old school spag bol. We're not going to stress over it, we're just going to crack on and make it this way. If you make it your way, fine. We're going to cook off those meatballs in there and then take them out a little second, and then they're going to go back in the sauce. So when you've got your oil warmed up a little bit, we are in with our meatballs. Now if you have to cook them in 2 batches because you've got loads, that's fine. So just try and get a little bit of colour around there if you can. If they break up, don't worry about it. So these are the forgotten cooking ways now, you know. Everybody wants to be a 5-star chef making a fantastic meat sauce and cook for hours and hours, 4 hours on a meat sauce. Unbelievable. But you know, you're forgetting the basics of actually putting a good meal on the table very easily. Now, whether you use a jar marinara sauce or you use a marinara sauce you've made like we have, come on, it's easy to come together. Some spaghetti, boiling water with some salt in, cook that, put this together with your sauce, serve it up, meal on the table, sprinkle of cheese. Old-fashioned cooking, easy. Now I've gone for a few meatballs, but you could have just cooked off the mince, it didn't matter. And you know, we're not trying to cook these fully. In fact, that'll do fine. We're going to cook in the sauce. So flame off and get those out. Just put them on something that you're going to put back in. Now we have a little bit too much oil in there, so some of that is going to go in a tub. Not all of it. I've drained a portion off there, look. I'll put that on one side, we might use it. In here, I've got meat bits. They're not burnt. Look, they're perfect. That is flavouring, so we don't have to scoop that one out. In there with some bacon. Now, bacon optional. Everything's optional on an old school bolognese, you know. And you're going to get critics say, oh, you don't have that in there. But look, it's an old school. So we're going to put some in just for flavour and crispiness. We're going to get that lovely smoky bacon in there. These old school recipes are easy to adapt. Put in what you like. You know, we're not going for the 5-star full Italian bolognese sauce here. We're going for a meal on the table. Now you can really go to town and crisp this up before you do anything else. Or you can just put your onions in there and garlic. Onions and garlic there, minced garlic. Some chopped red onion. But it doesn't matter about the onion, you know, it could be white onion. It's just what I had. And they're all cooked together. In there, grated carrot. That's going to give us a nice little sweetness in there. Nice little cooking on that. Season to taste. I'm not going to season this because of the marinara sauce, and we're going to use a beef stock in here. Now you can use a beef cube or you can use powder. You can use your own beef stock. Fabulous. We want to put a depth of flavour in there, and that's going to come from the beef inside the marinara sauce. Okay, I've got some beef broth made out of powder, gravy powder. That's going to give us a depth of flavour in there. Just give that a little whiz in. Fabulous. And then we're going in there with our marinara sauce, out of a bottle or homemade. So just give that a little stir in, bring it all in there, and then we've got a lovely marinara sauce, quickly made. It's going to have a nice beefy flavour through there as well, and it's not taken 4.5 hours to cook down or overnight. This is our old school cooking. So easy. Now we want to be turning our flame down and we are going to put our beef balls back in there, and they're all going to cook together. They're going to cook for about 25 minutes, something like that. And you can stir them in with your sauce, everything, it doesn't matter. Now it's going to bubble away, so if you want to put a lid on, put a lid on. And all we're going to do is just nice and steady give it a little stir, just to make sure nothing is catching on the bottom. And that's it. We're going to cook for about 20 minutes, and those beef balls are going to cook all the way through perfectly, and we'll have a nice thick sauce to go over our spaghetti. Old school, easy, come on. Now another thing, you know, if it starts to get too thick, add a splash of water. Spaghetti, usual way, pan of water on, salt in, put your spaghetti in. Okay, water boiling away, in there with a little bit of salt. And in with our spaghetti. In you go. Cook to the packet instructions. There you go, look, we're getting a lovely, lush, thick sauce. That is fantastic. Our meatballs look super. Smells wonderful in here. So there you are, we got a lovely, lush, thick sauce. We got our meatballs, our spaghetti's cooked. All we got to do is put it all together. Come on. So dump your spaghetti on there, and we want to be ladling on there some of that really fantastic looking sauce. I mean, come on, look at that. Now you can leave it like that, or you can give it a mix in. We're going to give that a little twiddle in there, I think. So we got that sauce going through that pasta. We'll add a little bit more sauce in a minute with our meatballs. And then we're on there, come on. Look at that. In there with your meatballs. And we want a little bit of cheddar on there of choice. Entirely up to you, you don't have to. A little bit of cheddar, a little bit of parmo, and a little bit of parsley. And on there, a little bit of parsley, and that is old school spag bol made. Look at that incredible, delicious meal. Easy to come together, so easy. Come on, spaghetti bolognese and meatballs in there. Look at that, perfectly cooked meatballs. Oh, absolutely sensational, so easy to bring together. That is sensational, so easy, really tasty. Fantastic marinara sauce. Okay, we made it, but you know, you can use jar, not a problem. Come on. In here. Oh, I'm going to get covered, I know I am. Oh no. Those meatballs are delicious. Now, I'm not the perfect eater when it comes down to, in fact, I'm not a perfect eater anyway. I just like to stuff my face, but when it comes down to spaghetti or noodles, oh, I always get covered. People have been saying about meal prep, get yourself some microwave boxes with a lid. These are microwavable. Spaghetti, sauce, meatballs in there, lid on, in the freezer. 3 months. Now they last an awful lot longer than that, but 3 months is recommended. Okay, you can go an awful lot longer than that. If you stick it in the fridge, 7 days. Bring it out, reheat. Out of the freezer, defrost, reheat. Microwave, so simple. There you go. It is really easy to meal prep a fantastic meal to have for a later date. You don't have to worry about cooking a portion and not being able to eat it, or there's too much. So there you go. So I'm going to stuff this in, look. So we got these fantastic meatballs, you know, a little bit herby in there. We got that Parmesan in there. They are sensational. Got a cracking marinara sauce. We got some spaghetti. We've put a little bit of cheddar on there and Parmesan just to pep it up at the end. And a little bit of parsley, fresh parsley. Obviously that's optional, come on. So easy, old school cooking, easy. If you like what we're doing, don't forget, share with your friends. Tell them how easy it is. Come on, get a spag bol made, spaghetti bolognese. No 4.5 hour overnight cooks, anything like that. Nice and straightforward. And if you do like what we're doing, a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell. We'll catch you in the next video.